So we've not talked about Anne's case for a couple of days. Now, the first thing I want to say is I put a video up the other day that people, it was off social media, people saying it was the accused killer of Ann Widdecombe speaking on a communist forum. I don't know if you saw it or not. I put it up as a short. I also included it in a longer video. Anyway, some people now are saying that wasn't him. And I've been trying to find out if it was him or not. I just can't get to, there's people out there saying, yes, it was him. People out there saying, no, it wasn't him. It was some other guy. But it looked just like the pictures of him when he got arrested to me. But I don't know. I can't verify it one way or the other. So I've just taken it down. Because to be honest, I haven't got time to mess around. Things do come up on social media that aren't always true, is it? So I think just because I can't establish that it's true, but I can't establish that it's false either. But I think the best thing to do is just take it down. So I've taken it down. So just to let you know, just in case you look for that video, I've taken it down. You can still find it on social media. There's people out there insisting there it is him. So, but I just haven't got the time or energy to delve into whether that was him on that video or not. Okay, so what we're going to talk about with Anne is her funeral. Bless her. So, her church have issued a statement, about her funeral. So let's have a look at that. Poor Anne. So just a reminder to anyone who doesn't know or doesn't remember, Ann Widdecombe, ex-politician, very famous TV personality, British, dogmatic views, I think you could say, but very popular even amongst people who didn't agree with her political views. Most people thought she was a principled person who spoke her mind. She's a bit of a, what do they call it? Like she's always been around for the last 50, 60 years in politics on your TV screens, in the British TV screens. Anyway, like almost a national treasure. Just always been around. It was a massive shock. So she lives in Devon in the UK, in a lovely house next to Dartmoor, but a little bit secluded maybe. She had no fence around her house. Anyone could just drive up to the front door, and that seems like exactly what happened. Some twonk from Rotherham, right up the other end of the country, drove for 4.5 hours with hate in his heart and a hammer in his pocket, and he walked right into this lady's home. She's 78 years old. She was sat at her kitchen table having her lunch, and this twonk allegedly walked right up to her, hit her on the head with the hammer 21 times, pushed her off the chair onto the floor when she was covered in blood, took a wallet out of her bag and left. And the whole blitz attack only took 2 minutes, apparently. And it was all captured. It was all captured on camera, apparently, on her security cameras. Having said that, the police did at first arrest the wrong man, which is quite odd, isn't it? If you've actually got the attack on camera, I'm presuming then you've got a CCTV image of the guy. Why did they arrest the wrong person? Anyway, they did. First of all, they arrested a 24-year-old local man. They released him pretty quickly. And then they went all the way to Rotherham and arrested a 28-year-old man with communist leanings. if you like, or it seems that he did, because he had communist literature in his house. He had photos of Nigel Farage all over the place for some unknown reason. So this man was then rearrested under the Terrorism Act, because it's not yet been decided, was this an act of political assassination almost, with a terrorist intent. Now that's not what he's been charged with though. So the charges that have been laid against this man Joshua are murder, not terrorism. So far, that doesn't mean to say that won't change. So it's there's a lot of speculation over this case. All the images that we've seen of this guy looks different on every picture. So that in itself has led to a lot of conspiracy theories. And there is something strange about this, because I just find it strange that, first of all, Anne's death was announced as, a death, just a death, not a murder. It was announced by her agent that Ann Widdecombe had died at the age of 78, and everybody was eulogising about her. And then it turns out she was murdered later that day. I think that is definitely strange. How do you release that someone has died before it's been declared a murder? I don't know. It's odd. It's all odd. And is it that the police made such a cock up that they really did think she'd just fallen off her chair and banged her head? Is that what they really thought at first? Apparently if she'd been battered over the head for 21 times with a hammer, wouldn't it be difficult to relate that to a fall off a chair? I mean, maybe if she'd been hit once, maybe, but 21 times. I mean, no offense, but she must have been a mess. Maybe nobody got that close. Maybe that was an assumption that was made. Nobody would want to get that close to a dead body, would they? So, especially not when there was blood everywhere. So, yeah, makes you wonder, did they not realise till they actually got her to the autopsy that, in fact, it was a murder? Makes you wonder. Anyway, I think it's been dealt with better since the terrorism police have taken over. Because, of course, the other thing is they were insisting, the Devon and Cornwall police, it's not terrorism, no evidence that it's terrorism, it's definitely not terrorism. And then suddenly it was, oh, hang on a minute, we're passing it over to the counter-terrorist police. So that peed everybody off, because why didn't they just say, we don't know if it's terrorism or not, until they established the facts? Why be so insistent it wasn't terrorism before they actually knew that it wasn't terrorism? So there's a lot of controversy about poor Anne's case. But at the end of the day, this is a 78-year-old woman who's been brutally bludgeoned to death in her own home, in the kitchen, as she was having her lunch. It's disgusting that anyone could do that. And this man, I don't care if he's got mental health, I don't care if he's got brain tumour, I don't care if whatever's wrong with him, there is no reason for what he did to Ann Widdecombe. It's disgusting, and he deserves everything that's coming to him. He's a great big hulking man, and he went all the way up there just to murder her. A little 78-year-old woman. Disgusting. So that's what's at the crux of all this for me. It's elder abuse. He's picked on a soft target. If his real beef, if you like, was with Nigel Farage or the Reform Party in general, why didn't he go and attack him? Why was he attacking Anne? Because she is an easy target. That's why. He found out she lived alone, 78 years old. He's a great big hulking brute of a man. And off he went. Hi, Wesley. Yes, no effing excuse. Definitely no excuse. I don't care if he's got ADHD, if he's got autism, if he's got schizophrenia. I don't care what he's got. I don't believe it anyway, because I'll tell you what, he was sensible enough to plan it all, to go all the way up there. He had the confidence to walk straight into her house and attack her in a blitz attack, then come home and have a pizza and then put the bins out. You know what I mean? He's not a non-functioning wreck of a man, is he? Anyway, let's get on to something more positive, which is nice things that people have said about Anne. Now, the first thing that I do just want to show you, because I never read this out at the time, this is the statement that was given by Shabina Mahmood, who's the Secretary of State, and still is, even after the left-wing coup of the Labour Party and the twonk Andy Burnham becoming Prime Minister. This was published under Keir Starmer's government, but you know, doesn't matter. She's still the Secretary of State, and this was the statement Shabina Mahmood made in the House of Commons about Anne. And there she is. I don't like her. I think she's quite good actually at what she does, but I don't like her. I don't like any of this new Labour government, I'm afraid. So, with permission, Mr. Speaker, I wish to make a statement about the death of Ann Widdecombe. It's with great sadness that I say these words. My thoughts today are with her family, her friends, all those who loved her. Ann Widdecombe dedicated her life to politics and public service. For nearly 40 years, she was a fixture of our political life. She brought conviction to our politics, grounded in her profound Catholic faith. She was forthright in her opinions and argued courageously for all the things she believed in. But perhaps most of all, she brought an inimitable style to politics. She was forthright and fearless. She wasn't a snake like you, Shabina, was she? She wasn't a snake. She said what she thought. You knew where you were with her. She didn't tell lies. She didn't go behind people's backs like you do. She was forthright and fearless, as Lord Howard of Lympne can attest. She had a memorable turn of phrase. And she was joyful. She thought seriously about ideas. Is this not sharing? I did share this. Let me go back to just show you the photo of Shabina Mahmood if you don't know who she is. There she is. That's who I was talking about. Snaky McSnaky, part of the new snaky Labour government that you've got now. She thought seriously about ideas. She did not take herself too seriously, and that allowed her to reach beyond this place and charm the country at large. She was one of those rare politicians who was bigger than politics. But I think her outlook on life is best summed up by Anne herself. Sitting on Graham Norton's sofa, she said, and I quote, "We get one go this side of our eternity, one go. Life is not a dress rehearsal. You take opportunities that you like and you go for it." And she took her opportunities. She was the proud MP for Maidstone for 23 years, a champion of her constituents. She served the country in government as Minister of Employment and then Prisons Minister. She took politics out of these ancient walls and became a bona fide TV star. And then she goes on for the details of her death, but I'm not going into them. I think we know them. And then she goes on to talk about Nigel Farage. Won't talk about him. So today is a dark day in our political life, but we must also use it as an opportunity to celebrate Ann Widdecombe's memory. She was a unique figure in our politics, a distinctive and devoted public servant, the likes of whom we will rarely, if ever, see again. And you know what? That's the sad thing about British politics. You won't see anyone like Anne again. And you won't see anyone like Anne again because everyone is just in it for themselves now. They're not doing anything, doing it for the country. They're not doing it for their principles. They're doing it for themselves. And politicians like Anne, they're a thing of the past. Whether you agreed with her politics or not, she was a conviction politician who believed in what she said. You won't get that. You're not getting that now. Just not getting it. And when we do get someone like that, which I think Keir Starmer was up to a point, look what's happened to him. You know, there's just snakes everywhere. It's horrible. Anne had a profound faith, and her journey in this life has ended too soon. May she now rest in eternal peace. I commend this statement to the House. So I do think that's a nice statement that she did, but I just think it's ironic coming from this traitorous snake. But anyway, there you go. Make of it what you will. So I just want to read to you what's going to happen about her funeral now, what her family have said. Let's have a look. Share screen. It is like the end of an era. I mean, I still can't quite believe it. You know, can you? I mean, Ann Widdecombe's just been on, as I say, like her or hate her or whatever you thought of her. She's always been around ever since I can remember in my long life. You know, like ever since I was ever interested in politics. You know, about 40 years ago. 40 years at least, and probably longer than that Ann Widdecombe has been part of British political life and then part of being a TV personality, Strictly Come Dancing, various documentaries. Nearly everybody knew who she was. And not only in the UK, people knew who she was all over the place because she was a, you know, say whether you believed in her or you didn't. Anyway, still beating. It was a Buckfast stabby in Buckfastleigh. So she repeatedly referred to the taking of the knee as a pointless gesture. So now she was forthright, you know, taking the knee. That divided them. Everything divides people these days, isn't it? Feels like every gesture you'll get like people think and 50 people think it's terrible. She was a person who thought that taking the knee was pointless. That's fine, that's her opinion. The funeral of former MP Ann Widdecombe is still being prepared for death on July the 8th, and her family she worship. A statement released by father, is that father, F-R, will that be father, will it? And the monastic committee that they can Widdecombe, her family and loved ones in our prayers during this difficult time. Now, I don't know if I can share this. There you go. Finally. This newspaper I'm reading from is the Devon Live. So Joshua Kerry, a 28-year-old from Rotherham, has been charged with Anne's murder and appeared at Westminster Magistrates Court, charged with her murder. He's been remanded into custody, will next appear at the Old Bailey on October the 9th. And a provisional trial date has been listed for June the 8th, 2027. So following her passing, Buckfast Abbey, situated on the edge, saying that Father Abbot and the monastic community of Buckfast were deeply saddened to hear of the death of Ann Widdecombe in such tragic and disturbing circumstances. They explained that Anne was a frequent worshipper in the Abbey Church, attending the Sunday solemn Mass, as well as the church's Holy Week and Easter services. So a comforting thing is, Anne, she was a committed, her faith was rock solid, absolute. She believed in in going to Jesus and going on to the next life, etc. So we can only hope then and take comfort that Anne has passed on to the next plane, and she's with her brother and her parents, and of course David Amos, another politician that was murdered a few years ago. He was a great friend of hers. You just hope that when we, to go on to the next life, what is, and the only thing that comforts you is you hope that you see those people again in life, that you read, and that's the best we can hope for. And I do believe that, and Anne certainly believed it. I think she was more of a believer than me. I'm always a little bit of a doubting Thomas. Anne was a committed, knew her as a kind and warm character. She will be missed and fondly remembered. She was a woman of profound faith, a faith which found expression in the public forum of politics. She was unafraid to express her unwavering convictions, formed through her Roman Catholic faith. She had a sharp intellect and was a dedicated public servant. Father Abbot and the monastic community extend their heartfelt condolences to her family and friends. And in a statement, released information in due course when appropriate. Father Abbot and the monastic community said they were grateful for the sympathy and support that have been received. Now, I don't know where Anne is at the moment, where Anne's body has it been released for burial. Anyway, as I get more details, I will come back to you with the details. There'll be a very private funeral, first of all, where there'll only be invitations. But then I think they're planning some more of a sort of a public celebration, because they've probably received so many commiserations from the public. The public have felt this, haven't they? They've felt this. It's like, a wave of sadness through Britain, and also, of course, the brutality of it. As someone like Anne, the eulogies that were being given before we knew that she'd been murdered, they were lovely enough. When it was announced that Friday morning that she died, everyone was coming out and saying nice things about Anne. As I say, whether they agreed with the politics or not, there was always something positive you could find to say about Anne. And then when it was found that she'd been so brutally murdered, it's just turned into an outrage now, hasn't it? And even more angry that people are